When the news dropped on July 22, 2025, that Ozzy Osbourne had died at 76, it felt like the whole rock world hit pause. People who grew up blasting Crazy Train or laughing at the Osbournes just stared at their phones, trying to take it in. Ozzy had dodged death so many times that a lot of us thought he might actually live forever. What made it stranger was how strong he'd seemed only weeks earlier. At a charity show in Birmingham, he sat on a black metal throne, cracked jokes between songs, and even hugged the rest of the original Black Sabbath crew. It was a real victory lap, and fans left the arena sure he still had more miles in him. Then the whispers started, first on rock blogs, then on late-night radio shows, finally on the big news sites. Ozzy's autopsy reveals shocking cause of death. Nobody could agree on what that meant. Was it his old party habits catching up? Was it the Parkinson's he'd been fighting? Or was it something completely out of left field? Because Ozzy's life was an open book, everyone felt they knew him, so they also felt they deserved answers. Over the next few minutes, we're going to walk through his final days, the health battles he never hid, and the first details coming out of the coroner's office. Stick around. What really happened is both heartbreaking and surprisingly human. Ozzy's health story reads like a rock and roll survival guide. Back in the 70s and 80s, he ran on booze, pills, and pure adrenaline, but the long-term damage showed up later. A nasty ATV crash in 2003 messed up his spine and neck so badly that doctors bolted metal rods into him. After that, he cycled through surgeries and painkillers the way most of us go through phone chargers, always trying to patch himself up enough to get back on stage. The real curveball came in 2020 when he told the world he had Parkinson's. It's not the kind of disease that kills you outright, but it makes everything harder: walking, swallowing, even breathing. Imagine your body lagging a beat behind every signal your brain sends. For Ozzy, that meant more falls, more infections, and a voice that didn't always do what he wanted. Still, he kept writing, recording, and joking that he'd be touring in a wheelchair if he had to. By early 2025, friends say he hurt almost all the time. Even simple stuff like getting out of a chair felt like it cost him points off a battery that never recharged. Yet he set his sights on that one last Birmingham gig. He hired vocal coaches, warmed up in a humidity-controlled room, and pushed through 3-hour rehearsals even when his hands shook so badly he could barely hold the mic. After the show, he slept for the better part of 2 days, but when he woke up he told Sharon it was worth every second of pain. The problem is, Parkinson's also messes with swallowing muscles. If food or even a bit of saliva slips into the lungs, it can spark pneumonia fast. A week after the concert, Ozzy caught what looked like a simple chest cold. No big deal for most folks, huge deal for him. He started coughing more, sleeping less, and his oxygen levels dipped enough that a home nurse called an ambulance. On the night of July 21st, medics loaded him into a chopper from his estate. They got his breathing stable for a while, but the infection had already taken root. Early the next morning, his heart finally gave out. For a guy who sang about the apocalypse, it was a painfully ordinary way to go, but maybe that's the point. Even rock gods have bodies that wear out. The first line of the early autopsy summary is the one that hit hardest. Ozzy died from aspiration pneumonia that pushed his lungs to the point they couldn't feed his heart enough oxygen. Translation? Something, likely a bit of food or stomach acid, slipped down the wrong pipe, set off a nasty infection, and his already tired body couldn't fight it off fast enough. Aspiration pneumonia shows up a lot in Parkinson's cases because the swallowing reflex just isn't as sharp. It doesn't take a choke, it can be a silent trickle you don't even notice. In Ozzy's lungs they found fluid, swelling, and scar tissue made worse by decades of on and off smoking. Doctors say that combo is like throwing wet wood on a weak fire, everything smothers. Everybody expected the toxicology results to read like a pharmacy, but the surprise was how clean they were. Yes, he had pain meds and an antidepressant in his system, but all right in the therapeutic range. No hidden stash of hard stuff, no secret relapse. For a guy whose early album covers should have come with a liver damage warning, going out this squeaky clean feels almost shocking. The coroner also noted the steel rods in his spine and the mess of old surgical hardware in his neck. They didn't kill him, but they sure made the last stretch tougher. Limited movement, more strain on his lungs, zero wiggle room if trouble started. One small side note made fans tear up. His vocal cords were still inflamed from that final show. Even with everything stacked against him, the man was literally singing until he couldn't breathe. For a guy famous for biting the head off a bat, Ozzy's last act was surprisingly down to earth. He reminded everyone that even legends are made of skin and bone. Fans reacted the only way they knew how, by cranking Black Sabbath at full volume and flooding social media with memories of first concerts, late-night sing-alongs, and awkward karaoke attempts that somehow felt heroic now that he was gone. Tributes rolled in from every corner of the music world. Metallica opened their next show with Iron Man, Foo Fighters posted a rehearsal room jam of War Pigs, and a whole wave of younger bands who'd never even met the man suddenly understood how much they owed him. Streams of Paranoid and Crazy Train shot up so fast the songs felt brand new again, like they'd just been released yesterday. Sharon Osbourne thanked everyone for the love and dropped a simple request: instead of flowers, chip into Parkinson's research. Within a week, donations spiked so high the charity's website crashed twice. As she put it in a short video, Ozzy wouldn't want a marble statue, he'd want more scientists in labs so fewer families get news like ours. It was classic Sharon, practical, blunt, and totally spot on. Plans for a farewell event are still shaping up. The family is torn between a private ceremony and a public blowout gig in Birmingham, maybe both. Either way, the ashes are expected to stay close to home, right next to his beloved dogs in the garden he used to wander when lyrics wouldn't come. Somehow that feels perfect. The Prince of Darkness resting among rose bushes he planted himself. And that's the story, raw and real. If it hits you as hard as it hit us, drop a like, share your favorite Ozzy moment in the comments, and make sure the next song you play is loud enough to rattle the walls. Thanks for watching, and remember, legends never die, they just turn the volume up somewhere else.